Good people, it's your man Jay Ivy, and this is the story of my road to success. Man, so I'm from Chicago, South Side, and the South suburbs, and Chicago influenced me. I mean, Chicago's everything. You know, from my family who brought me up to the blocks I grew up on, to the way I speak, the way I walk, my mentality. Chicago gives you that go get it, hustle mentality, but it also builds you up to want to be great at what it is you do, because there aren't a lot of opportunities as far as when it comes to the arts. So you really have to go out and get it and create a lane. I have a quote that says, you can get in where you fit in, or you can make room. And Chicago really taught me how to make room for what it is that I love to do. I was first exposed to poetry and spoken word in high school at an English teacher named Ms. Argue, my junior year. And what I learned is you're not gonna argue with somebody named Ms. Argue. And she had us write a poem for homework. And I'm a hip hop baby, so I grew up on hip hop, Slick Rick the Ruler and Run DMC and Big Daddy Kane and Rakim. Like, those were my idols, my storytellers. But as far as like traditional poetry, I wasn't into it. So I go home to do my homework, and I come back to class the next day with this, what I thought was a silly little poem about a cloud that I wrote. And Ms. Argy pulled me to the side after class, and well, first she made everybody read that poem from the class. And then she pulled me to the side afterwards, and she gave me an A. And I wasn't getting no A's and no B's, you know, some C's. So I'm like, oh, wow, like, that's new. And so she had my attention. She's like, you have a nice speaking voice. I have a talent show coming up. I want you to perform this talent show. And I was like, nah, Ms. Argue, I ain't trying to do that. So I didn't do the show. A few weeks goes by. Ms. Argue approaches me again. She said, you know what, last time I asked you to do a show, you faked me out. I have another show coming up, and this time I'm not asking you. You have to do it. So she makes me do this show. And my first time ever on stage, as nervous and terrified as I was to be up there, I got a standing ovation, and instantly my life changed. I'm like, Ms. Argy, when's the next show? When's the next show? So it was just this beautiful, organic way of how it began. And I just fell in love with the idea of performing, fell in love with the idea of expressing myself. This was the first time I felt seen. And I was really just wanting to find that feeling again. And then the more I performed, the more I would write, and it was just this natural progression of just growing in this art form. And then that, you know, led me to meeting others that were cut from the same cloth. And it was this beautiful village that I became a part of. To go from just the love and the passion for the art to it becoming a profession, it was a natural progression. It was like one thing led to the next, one show led to the next show. Meeting this person led to meeting that person. It led to being asked to come perform, and not only around Chicago, but now I'm being invited to North Carolina to perform, to Atlanta to perform, to Philly, to New York. And I still remember the first time I did this show in Chicago, and somebody gave me $25. And I was like, you gonna pay me to do this? Like, you gonna give me, like, you know, the idea of business and making money from it hadn't even crossed my mind. It was just pure passion and love for poetry and for doing my thing. So once the money was introduced, you know, business was introduced, then it started to become a profession. Now, okay, I'm not just working this 9 to 5 and doing poetry at night. Now this is the career. This is the career, and I really took that leap of faith. I just done Def Poetry. I was on the first season. This is actually a 20-year anniversary of Def Poetry, and I was on the third episode of the first season. There was 4 episodes, and after doing Def Poetry, I was still working this telemarketing job. I was working for Dell Computers, doing, you know, people call, they see the commercial on TV and they call a number and they get me. I don't know nothing about computers, so if I messed you up, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? But I remember working that job and coming back after Def Poetry, like, yeah, man, just did HBO and oh, that was amazing. And my manager was like, yeah, that's cool. We got calls in queue. That's cool, but you know. And then a couple weeks after that, I was like, that's it. I gotta figure out how to make this happen, so I can put all my time and energy and focus into this craft. So that was the last job. But the career poetry is been everything for me. It's fed my family. It's taken me all around the world and introduced me to a lot of amazing opportunities, people, and yeah, I love it. I love it. My first major opportunity, oh man. I mean, Chicago, there was so many big moments for me in Chicago, from big showcases. Like, we had an event called the Black Expo that I would perform at, which was huge for me, and Full Moon Poetry, which was like the big poetry set when I first hit the scene. This is like mid-90s, to get an opportunity to host this spot called Rituals. It was a Sunday night poetry set, and having the opportunity to host an event that highlighted some of the most incredibly talented poets and singers and MCs. Like, it was just an incredible moment. But nationally, the first big moment was Def Poetry. Like, that was my first time on a national stage where millions of people were watching around the world, and that was just all God. That was took a trip to LA, and a friend of mine told another friend that I would be in LA, and then ended up performing at the friend's, her name's Michelle, ended up performing at her birthday party, and get a call a week later, and she's like, man, have you heard this show, Def Poetry? Well, my father, he's best friends with Stan Lathan, who's the director, and now Stan wants to see you. And then I ended up doing this show in LA, and Stan came out to see me. And you know, this is Stan Lathan, and he actually came out to see my show. And he's like, after the show, he's like, look, man, we doing the show Def Poetry. We filming September 19th and 20th. Mos Def is the host. I'm like, man, I'm on the show. And you know, I'm like, you got a tape? I'm like, yeah, I got a tape. He's like, send me a tape. So sent the tape, and a couple weeks later, I'm getting a call like, congratulations, like, you know, you've been selected to be on HBO Def Poetry. If you don't have a manager, get one, because there's gonna be 6 million people watching. You know, so that was one of those drop the phone, scream, holler, hug my girl and my mama, and you know what I mean, cry and smile as hard as I could. And it was special. It was special. There were always times where I wouldn't say, well, I wanted to give up, but it was definitely like a lot of hard times. Like, there were rock bottom moments. There were exhausting moments. Like, man, man, how I'm gonna pay this bill, you know, gotta take care of my fam, but nothing, like, no shows are happening, or like it just real slow seasons, and but it, you know, God would always show up. God would always show up with an opportunity right when you're at the lowest point. Like, I don't know what we go do to getting a phone call, and something, you know, there's this amazing opportunity on the other end of the line. It's like, oh wow. Or getting to the point where, okay, if nothing's coming in, we got to make a way. So, you know, I attribute a lot of that to my wife, Tari Teray. She's my rock. She's my best friend, my stage mate, incredible singer, songwriter, and innovator, innovator. So if something wasn't happening, she would always remind me, like, let's make something happen. Like, if you build it, they will come. So if you're not being booked for a show, let's book ourselves and throw our own show. Nobody's signing you to a deal. Let's sign ourselves. Let's figure out how to get our own budget to put into our music and put our own albums out. So the key was always like, don't wait. Like, there were moments, seasons where we waited, or I waited, and which was a hard lesson. It's like you cannot wait. You'll be waiting forever. So in the meantime, like, get in where you fit in, or make room. Like, make room. So we would even when it was tough and it was hard, we would always find that strength, find that inspiration, be reminded of the love and passion for the art, and you just keep going. Like, if you fall, don't trip. Like, just keep going. Proudest moments. There's been a lot of them. Def Poetry is absolutely one of them. Being on College Dropout, on Never Let Me Down, on a song with Kanye West and Jay-Z was an incredibly proud moment, especially as a poet. Just knowing all, I'm always thinking about all the poets that are out here doing their thing, knocking down doors, and to have an opportunity where I could represent the fam, where I could represent the village, where I could represent this beautiful art form that I come from, that I'm a part of, and be on a platform that the world is going to hear. And that was an incredibly proud moment. To this day, the album came out in 2004, and to this day, I have poets that come, they show love about it, but I have folks that are younger that come up to me like, man, I started doing poetry because of that. Like, I heard you on that record, and I started doing my thing because of that. Like that, it's incredibly proud to know that, like, you were, that I was able to inspire, others, especially knowing how people inspired me. Knowing like when Kevin Powell, big shout out to Kevin Powell, came to town, and I opened up for him. He showed me love, and then he had a show in Atlanta, and he was like, man, if you can get down, just come down. And I remember hopping on the Greyhound and coming down to do this show at I think it was like the Atlanta Arts Festival, I think it was. And I remember getting off the Greyhound, going to perform, and folks showing me love, and I ain't had no money, so as soon as that show was over, I went right back to the Greyhound station, got on that bus, and was just feeling like amazingly incredible about the moment. I was so happy that I had the opportunity. So, being inspired by Kevin Powell, by Jessica Care Moore, who I saw on Apollo winning week after week, and Apollo Demon, her Apollo Legend, and a Gil Scott Heron, who had a chance to not only just study his art, but had an opportunity to open up for him, and the last poets who knocked down incredible doors. So to be a part of that, and then know that you're doing it for others, like, it's an incredibly proud moment. And I don't know if this is proud or more so favorite, but having the opportunity to go back and holler at young folks in the schools, that's when I feel like the highest of highs, because I know that here young impressionable minds who just need somebody to talk to them, who need somebody to remind them of the greatness that they have, or open their eyes to the greatness that they have in themselves, and know that, okay, hopefully this is having an impact on them. Because I remember when folks would come and speak to my classes, and how it impacted me. So that's an incredibly proud moment to stand in that light. And then, it's an incredible proud moment to be Grammy nominated for my album Catching Dreams, live at Fort Knox, Chicago. We did a film we actually filmed this concert, and the album, we put out the album, but we had this beautiful film that we've been screening. We had the opportunity to screen it here last night, and to stand there, to be able to share this moment in time, this project with Atlanta, and then to have so many poets from the community come out. Big shout out to my brother Abyss and Georgia Me and Red Storm and Talam AC and Poppy Picasso and Queen Sheba, Four Eyes. I have folks come out and celebrate with you. As a poet, like that was, last night was that was an incredibly proud moment, because we doing it for the culture, we doing it for poetry, we doing it for spoken word. So it's incredibly proud to be able to celebrate with the fam. Man, how do I make sure I'm up to date in a world that's ever evolving? I think, like for me, I always tell people, as a creative, I feel that our superpower is the ability to listen, like really like listen. And poetry has taught me to pay attention to detail, pay attention to my surroundings. The OGs would say to be aware is to be alive. So just to be fully conscious of what's happening around me, what's happening in the world, is natural to be able to adapt to what's happening in the world. Part of my job, part of my responsibility is to be this poetic journalist, to be this street journalist, to document the times poetically. So as the world evolves, my job is to evolve with it, and also try and be ahead of the game as well. Try and be. I'm always conscious to want to be innovative, to want to do things new or do it in a way that hasn't been done. To trust my gut, trust my instinct, that intuition, and listen. Like listen to my spirit. Listen to the ancestors. Listen to what my creativity is dictating to me, so I can put something out into the world that will not only be relevant, but also impact someone's life, like inspire someone, add new perspective, add another shade to the palette, to the portrait of life. So for me, it's always just paying attention to what's happening, but also pay attention to what's happening on the inside as well, so I can give that to the world in a positive and a beautiful, innovative way. Finding balance between work and life is interesting, because my work is so much fun. Right? I'm blessed to be able to do what I love to do. So it's not even though it's work, even though it's a job, it just brings so much joy. But you do have to step away from it. You do have to, Tari, me and my wife, we talk about it all the time. Like, we do need that quality time. You do need that time to recharge, to unplug, to just let your mind just decompress, so you can empty. When you empty the cup, you got to fill it back up. So we are conscious of it, because the work will it'll if you let it, it'll take over everything, and at times it does, especially like when you're knee deep in a project and you have deadlines, and then in the middle or lifelines, and then in the middle of working on getting one project out, there's another one coming, and so it's like you go from one project to the next, to the next, to the next. So while it is fun and fulfilling, it is important to just be mindful. Just step away, catch a movie, go for a bike ride, take a trip, like do something, spend time with family, like do things that are just keep you grounded and bring other pieces of peace to your life. In a world of negativity, how do I stay positive? Hope, hope. Before performing or before starting my career, Dr. Martin Luther King was my biggest idol, and one of his biggest messages was hope, and couple that with how my mother raised me. My mom, she's just always encouraging me to put positive things into the world. She was the first to like instill in me that words have power, and to be mindful of what I'm putting out there, because they affect people, they affect the world, whether you want to take that responsibility or not. Like it does have an effect. So with me, like I'm always, I don't know, I'm a Pisces, so I don't know if that has something to do with it, but I always feel that that there's light at the end of the tunnel, that there's positivity out there, that love reigns supreme. I feel that so deep in my core, and that's in everything I do. That's in the way I think. Even when I say certain things like, oh man, we trying to do this, and like, nah, we're not trying. Like, no, we're not trying to make it happen. We're making it happen. So it's always this consciousness of like, let's be mindful of what we're saying. Okay, yeah, we don't want these things to happen, but instead of speaking on what we don't want, let's speak on what we do want, because our words, they really, really, like everything starts with the words and with the energy tied to them. So let's speak life. Let's speak life, and hope and love is always tied to that. I truly believe that in spite of all the craziness that we see, in spite of all the negativity we see, I do deeply feel that love will prevail. That's just, I don't know, maybe it's a dream of mine, but I've seen a lot of my dreams come true. And speaking of catching dreams, I've seen it happen. So I believe if more of us continue to promote and evoke positivity in our words and our actions and our art and the things we do for others, being of service to others, I do feel that we will get to a place of more and more balance, and hopefully, my hope is that the negativity will one day fade away. Just fade away. We've had enough of it. As a grown man, right now in this moment, to me, success is happiness. It's not a dollar amount. It's not how big your house is or what car you drive. Because there's a lot of miserable people with huge houses and the fanciest cars, but just rotten on the inside, just miserable, just unhappy. So for me, like, happiness is key. Like, is so much you can do with that joy, with that love. It's infectious. It allows you to have good times throughout your day, throughout your days, and just making the most of your time. Like we only have a certain amount of time. We're only here for a blink of an eye, and for me, even choosing to pursue this dream of poetry, for me, I didn't want to be 60, 70, 80, 100, 120, looking back on life like, man, I wish I would have tried. I had this dream, and I really wish I would have went after it. So for me, I really want to pursue this dream, and I knew that this was my purpose too. And I'm working on this project with my buddies Kuti and Chike. We're doing a film called Genius. a Kanye West trilogy. It's a documentary about Kanye. It'll be on Netflix in February. And while we're working on 1,000 conversations, working on the narrative, making sure we telling the story the right way. I'm the lead writer on it. Cootie's narrating. I wrote his narration. And one of the thoughts that came to my mind is that instincts are the seeds of our purpose. And when you're younger, trying to find yourself, trying to figure out like who am I as a person, as a man, like who am I? What is it I want to do with my life? What legacy am I trying to leave? Like why am I here during this time with these set of gifts? Like instincts, they give you those signs, and we either act on them or we don't. We either dig into that love and act on it, or we allow fear to kill our dreams. So for me, I always wanted to act on that love, follow those instincts so I can live in my purpose. And living in your purpose, like happiness is the underlying ingredient. Like that's the key thing is like, let me do things that's gonna bring happiness to my life. I've been through the depression. I've been through the hard times. I've been through the devastation and the trauma and all of those things. But if I can continue to find happiness in each day and each moment, I can share that with others, and they can share with others, and we can, lead into that, that hope of better days and more positive days. So to me, success is happiness, joy. That's it. Like, you got happiness in your heart, you good. It's like it's nothing you cannot do without joy. Yo, this is Jay Ivy. Thank y'all for checking us here on Then, Now, and Next. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram at the letter J _IVY, J_Ivy. My website is j-ivy.com. I break dance on Wednesdays, so you can catch me up the corner around the block, 315. I'm just playing, but y'all stay in tune, man. Much love. Peace.